As you can see behind me, there are protesters here on Lakeshore Drive. They've been protesting since 3:45 p.m. Thursday.
Multiple messages were written in chalk, like the one behind me, saying never again. Folk music, Guinness beer, and Barry's tea are all part of the celebration for Chicago's Irish community. The hot temperatures could not stop bicyclists this afternoon from riding into Humboldt Park for a good cause. Over 150 demonstrators shut down Lakeshore Drive this afternoon. Their mission? To protest gun violence in Chicago. Police monitored the demonstration near the intersection of Belmont Avenue and Lakeshore Drive. Several protesters denounced Mayor Rahm Emanuel and inequality in the city.
It makes it so hard for people to get ahead. I just want there to be more equality and opportunities.
Chants for gun violence victims, such as Laquan McDonald, reverberated through the shutdown. Signs calling for justice and messages written in chalk displayed the outcry for Chicago gun reform.
As you can see behind me, there are protesters here on Lakeshore Drive. They've been protesting since 3:45 p.m. Thursday, and their message is to bring Chicago together.
Organizer Reverend Gregory Livingston led the march from Lakeshore Drive to Wrigley Field. He wants city leaders to acknowledge the division between North and South Side neighborhoods.
Chicago was intentionally segregated, and we're trying to intentionally desegregate Chicago.
Chicago Cubs fans observed anti-violence demonstrators mobilize around Wrigley Field. Reverend Ira Ackery was another protest organizer who hopes to unify Chicago.
We have changed the narrative today, and we will talk about making this city one. We're all God's children.
The next anti-gun violence protest is scheduled for Labor Day along Interstate 190 near O'Hare International Airport. For the Medill News Service, this is Beverly Banks reporting. Youth activists from the organization Stand to Save Chicago held a rally for gun legislation reform on Saturday. The group's leader, 15-year-old Isabella Johnson, called on young people to vote for politicians in November who care about the threat of school shootings.
When November comes, getting everyone to vote, because a lot of young people don't vote right now, and if all the young people go out and vote, we can swing the election any way we want to.
Multiple messages were written in chalk, like the one behind me, saying never again, in protest against gun violence. The names of gun violence victims were etched in chalk along the sidewalk of Wacker Drive. Jacqueline Von Edelberg brings chalk to rallies like this one as a form of peaceful protest to end gun violence in schools.
If it takes us getting down on our hands and knees, armed only with pieces of chalk, to say that the status quo cannot continue, look, if that's what it takes to get our voices heard, then that's what I'm willing to do.
We are not too young to make a difference. No one is too young to make a difference.
16-year-old Erin Gillen joined Stand to Save Chicago because she wants to share the organization's mission for gun safety to everyone in the city.
All this art will be here until it rains, and who knows when that will be. So every passerby in the city of Chicago, tourist, resident, or someone that's just passing through, they'll be able to see this, and this leaves a lasting impression that this movement isn't going away.
Messages of solidarity and love remain long after these young activists finish one of many future rallies. For the Medill News Service, this is Beverly Banks reporting. The melodies of the tin whistle echoed throughout the 33rd Irish Fest this weekend. Over 15,000 attendees wore all shades of green at the Irish American Heritage Center on the north side of Chicago. The festival offered Irish traditions, including a tea room inside the center. Una Mulkerns-Depner has volunteered at the center since it was established over 40 years ago. She says the center gives her a sense of belonging as an Irish immigrant.
We feel very, very much at home. Everybody's friendly, and we just love it here.
Folk music, Guinness beer, and Barry's tea are all part of the celebration for Chicago's Irish community. Rory Macomb performs Irish folk music at the festival to honor his Irish heritage. Macomb began performing over 25 years ago with his father, Tommy Macomb.
That's what you'll find here, is that kind of community, where everyone has something to offer. I'm proud to be part of it.
Festival organizer Kathy O'Neill encourages attendees to experience and learn more about Irish customs.
Come for the beer, stay for the culture.
Irish Fest is the center's largest annual fundraiser with $10 for admission in advance and $15 at the door. For the Medill News Service, this is Beverly Banks reporting. On Saturday, June 30th, bicycle enthusiasts rode into Humboldt Park for the Tour de Fat Festival. The annual event began with a bike parade in the morning and continued with musical performances, interactive activities, and a celebration of craft beer in the afternoon. New Belgium Brewing Company donates all proceeds from beer sales to local bike nonprofit Westtown Bikes. Westtown Bikes operations manager Michael Young oversees youth programming for the organization. He explains the nonprofit's emphasis on solving community problems such as obesity, transportation, and access to education.
Bicycles help solve a lot of those problems, and we use them as a conduit to engage youth in development.
Sam Sawyer is the brand manager for Tour de Fat, and he says for the past 19 years, Tour de Fat has raised more than $5 million for local bike nonprofits nationwide.
The more people we get in here, the more money we raise for Westtown Bikes.
Young says the event raises a large amount of money for Westtown Bikes programs.
$25,000, $30,000 in a single day, which, to give you an idea, that's enough to fund a whole program for a year.
The hot temperatures could not stop bicyclists this afternoon from riding into Humboldt Park for a good cause. Local bicyclist Max Hertz says the event helps Westtown Bikes and serves as an opportunity to enjoy Chicago's summer weather.
You're just out enjoying the city and you get to ride around, and you get to come here, drink delicious beer, and have a good time.
For Sawyer, the success of Tour de Fat reflects New Belgium's passion for supporting the community.
We're doing everything we can to, to make these super successful because it is an absolute labor of love.
On a hot summer's day, Hertz says he comes to the event for Westtown Bikes and,
I guess I would say the beer, right?
This year marks the 11th Tour de Fat in Chicago. For the Medill News Service, this is Beverly Banks reporting.